Hey guys, my name is Bahroz and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I will share with you the common behavioral interview questions you can expect to be asked in a Procter & Gamble interview and how to answer them effectively such that you ace your interview. Now, before we dive in, here's an important disclaimer. The information I share in this video is publicly available and doesn't involve any proprietary knowledge from my time at Procter & Gamble, where I worked for approximately 11 years. The commonly asked questions I discuss in this video are sourced from all over the web. I will leave the resources I used in the description of this video. The approach I outline for answering these questions is based on universal interview techniques that everyone can use. Now, first and foremost, any and all the questions you will be asked are around the following key skills or behaviors, which are laid down by Procter & Gamble as its peak performance factors that it uses not only to evaluate potential job candidates, but also to qualify the yearly performance of its own employees. These key factors are: number 1, courage to lead; number 2, innovate for growth; number 3, champion for productivity; number 4, execute with excellence; and number 5, bring out your best. So you should expect around 5 questions as behavioral interview questions in your interview, one around each of these peak performance factors. So your job is to ensure that in your answer, you touch on these peak performance factors and provide examples that demonstrate how you have excelled in these areas in the past. Hence, as you prepare for Procter & Gamble's assessment process, it's crucial to first understand these peak performance factors. I've created a separate video for which I will leave the link in the description of this video where I covered this in detail. These factors are foundational. P&G uses them to judge candidates for every role. Understanding them will help you grasp how you'll be graded and what's expected before you start preparing for specific questions and their answers altogether, which we'll cover in this video. Also, towards the end of the video, I will share some special tips that you can use across all types of interview questions, be it about leadership or innovation or execution. So make sure you stay tuned till the end. Now, as part of your hiring process at Procter & Gamble, you will also encounter assessment tests. There are 4 kinds of assessment tests. One is peak, one is digit, one is switch, and one is grade. Now, the best way to ace these assessment tests is to practice. So for this very reason, what I did was I sifted through the web and found this wonderful website which has sample questions and sample tests that you can give which mimic the original test. I highly recommend you check them out. I will leave the link to that website in the description of this video. Now, the common question under lead with courage is: tell me about an instance when you were able to get into a group, take charge, get support, and bring about phenomenal results. This question is designed to assess leadership, influence, executional skills, how you take initiative, rally people around a goal, and drive results. Now, to answer your question effectively, first and foremost, let's understand what the interviewer is looking for. The interviewer wants to see how you identify challenges and take the lead in a group setting, secure support from management, cross-functional teams, or other stakeholders, how you align different team members towards a common vision, and or overcome obstacles and deliver strong outcomes. Your example doesn't necessarily have to be about stepping into a struggling project. It could be about leading a newly assigned initiative or taking charge in an ambiguous situation. Now, here is how to break down your answer. We use the CAR model. So starting with the context: was the team struggling? Was there a lack of direction? Was this a new project? So describe the situation, what was going on. What was the key challenge? Was the team misaligned, lacking motivation? Did you need resources? And mention the importance of the task or the project. It is very important that you highlight the task as something which is really important, which was big, because even if you come up with the simplest of the solutions to solve it, you still come across as hero because you ended up solving something which was very big, monstrous. Then talk about the actions. Explain how you took charge. Like, did you set a vision, communicate goals, or assign clear roles? How did you gain support? Could be engaging leadership, getting additional resources, inspiring the team. How did you handle resistance or roadblocks? And then mention your leadership style. Did you collaborate, delegate, or coach the team? And in the end, talk about the results. What was the outcome? Using specific numbers or qualitative improvements. Did you complete the project ahead of schedule or improve efficiency, increase revenue? Talk about those results. Highlight lessons learned as well, or how the experience shaped your leadership style altogether. Now, here's a sample answer you can use just for you to have an idea as to how you should go about answering it. So, context: in my previous role as finance manager, our company was rolling out a new budgeting process, but the finance team and department heads were not aligned. There was confusion over responsibilities and deadlines were being missed, leading to frustration across teams. Now, I was asked to take over and lead the initiative to ensure the budgeting process was streamlined and completed on time. The challenge was that different departments had competing priorities and I had to get their buy-in while ensuring accuracy and timeliness. Now, what are the actions I took? I set clear objectives. I held a kickoff meeting with all stakeholders to outline the importance of the project and how it would benefit them. Number 2, secured support from leadership. Now, here, if you notice, what I'm doing is I give the headline of the action and then I explain how I did it. So, secured support from leadership. How? I engaged the CFO and department heads to ensure they reinforce the urgency and priority of this project. Action number 3, align the team. how I worked with each department to understand their pain points and proposed a simplified workflow that addressed their outcomes. Number 4, motivated the team. I introduced bi-weekly check-ins to track progress and provided quick wins to keep morale high. Number 5, resolved roadblocks. When we faced pushback from a department, I brought data-driven insights to showcase why the new process was necessary. And then in the end, you talk about the results. So as a result of these actions, we successfully completed the budgeting process 2 weeks ahead of schedule, improved forecasting accuracy by, let's say, 15%, and reduced manual errors significantly. Additionally, the new streamlined workflow was adopted as the new standard, saving hours of work in subsequent cycles. Now, let me share out here that the reason it's easier to know the type of questions asked in P&G interview, or for that matter, in any big company, is the fact that these companies have a very structured approach to interviewing. That is, they have set guidelines on what to ask and how to evaluate. So for the most part, everyone tends to follow the same script and methodology. By everyone, I mean every interviewer, and hence for someone like me who coaches and mentors hundreds of candidates for jobs in these companies, it becomes very easy to pick a commonality and a thread or a trend in the kind of questions being asked. Now let's move to the next pillar, which is innovate for growth. Here, a common question you can expect is, can you think of a time or instance when you thought there has to be a better or different way of doing something, and you came up with an improvement to any idea that already existed or process that made it significantly better? Here, again, first we understand the question. What the question is asking is, it is assessing your problem-solving ability, analytical skills, and impact on efficiency and cost effectiveness. Now, essentially, P&G wants to see how you recognize inefficiencies in a process, take initiative to analyze and improve the situation, and implement changes that lead to measurable improvements. How you structure your answer, again, using the CAR model. First, you do the context where you describe the situation, what was the process and why was it inefficient. Second is action, explain the steps you took to analyze, identify the issue, and implement a solution. And results, which is quantify the impact of your improvement, cost saving, efficiency gains, improved output, whatever. Now, one example that I have here, just for you to have an idea how do you go about answering, is at my previous role, I noticed that our logistics costs in some country, X country, were significantly higher than expected. Freight charges, fuel expenses, and warehousing costs were eating into our margins. I realized there had to be a better and more efficient way to manage these costs. So the actions I took is I conducted a detailed benchmarking analysis to compare our logistic costs with industry standards. I also performed activity-based costing to break down expenses into specific components such as fuel, rentals, driver wages, and storage. This helped pinpoint inefficiencies. One key area was our freight provider contracts. Many had been in place for years without renegotiations or any negotiations. I initiated a competitive bidding process to bring in new suppliers and also optimize delivery routes to reduce fuel wastage. As a result, we reduced logistics costs by 10%, improved delivery times, and enhanced vendor service levels. The cost savings were reinvested into improving warehousing operations, leading to even more efficiencies in the complete supply chain. Now, alternative scenario, because I'm from finance, so I gave a finance example. If you're in finance, you can also give an example of automated manual reporting process, reducing time by X%. Or if you're in marketing, let's say you identified an underperforming ad channel and reallocated the budget, increasing conversions. Or let's say if you're in operations, you introduced a new software tool that improved workflow. So whichever function you are from, find out things which are relevant for you, where you brought in a new idea, and then talk about that. The key is to demonstrate critical thinking, problem solving, and tangible impact. Now, the third key pillar is champion productivity. Here, a question you can expect is, tell me about a time when you tried to make something simpler, a process or a procedure. What made you decide that it needed to be simplified? Let's understand what the interviewer is asking. They want to know your ability to identify inefficiencies, your problem solving skills in streamlining processes, your impact on saving time, reducing complexity, or improving productivity, and how you take initiative in driving operational improvements. The key here is to demonstrate recognition of the problem, what was inefficient or time consuming, so identifying that, action taken, what steps did you take to simplify it, and then impact of the simplification. How did you go about saving time? How did you reduce errors or improve efficiency altogether? Now, the approach you take in answering the question, again, I have an example here where I can say, when I joined company X, the management reporting process was extremely cumbersome. The finance team had manually pulled data from 10 different sources in spreadsheets, database, and external systems. The finance teams had to manually pull data from 10 different sources, spreadsheets, database, external systems before compiling reports, which took hours and often led to inconsistencies and errors. I recognized that this was inefficient and prone to errors, so I proposed and implemented a centralized data library. I worked with IT to create a data warehouse where all relevant information was automatically fed in real time. Then I built automated report templates that could pull from the central source with a few clicks, eliminating a need for manual data entry. Now here remember that every time you have to say an action, Like I automated, and then how did you automate? Or I built some report, how did you build the report, and so on and so forth. So what did you do, how you did it? What did you do, how you did it? As a result, in the end, you talk about the result. What previously took 4 hours every week was reduced to 30 minutes. This not only freed up time for more strategic work, but also improved accuracy and consistency in reporting. My initiative was later expanded to other reporting functions across the department, creating significant time savings for multiple teams. Now, one important call out: in case you find any value from this video, I have a small favor to ask. Please press the like button, as this keeps me motivated, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. On this channel, I share content about achieving career success and building wealth. If these topics are of interest to you, then this channel is right for you. Moving on to the next pillar, which is execute with excellence. Here, a common question that you can expect to get is, give me an example of a situation where you had to overcome major obstacles to make something significant occur or happen. And this is a classic behavioral interview question designed to assess your problem solving skills, resilience, and ability to drive results despite challenges. The key here is to not overcomplicate what an obstacle means. People at times think, oh, obstacle, I have to think something big. It doesn't have to be dramatic crisis. It can be any significant business problem or an operational bottleneck or an organizational challenge that requires strategic thinking and execution. At its core, the question is about identifying a problem, which is demonstrating how you assess and understand challenges, leveraging your expertise, showcasing how you applied your professional, business, and organizational knowledge, and driving a solution, walking through the actions you took, and again, actions you took, how you took them, and then in the end, demonstrating impact, highlighting measurable results or long-term improvements. Approach you take in answering this question is: one, pick a relevant example. Think of a time when you faced a real business challenge, since your goal is to showcase your problem-solving abilities and expertise. So pick an example where you had limited time, resources, or faced resistance. The challenge required you to use both technical, example finance, operational, and soft skills, example influencing, stakeholder management, decision-making, and the outcome had to be measurable. Then, following the CAR model, you briefly explain the problem, providing necessary background, clarify why it was significant, that obstacle, example, there was a business risk, it was financial impact, operational inefficiencies. It is all on you, because you own the example. So you can make it as big, as dramatic as you want. It doesn't have to be dramatic, but you can always present it as if it was something which was very important. And then you talk about what was your role, what you did. And in the action piece, you talk about what steps did you take to understand and address the problem. How did you use your technical, business, and organizational knowledge? Did you collaborate with teams, influence stakeholders, or implement a strategic approach? And in the end, you talk about the results. What was the final outcome? What metrics did you use, and how did those metrics perform? What did you learn from this experience? Last but not the least, the fifth pillar is bring out our best. Here, one of the common questions you can expect is, tell me about a time you were able to develop and maintain healthy relationships while working with your team members, even though they may have differing opinions or different point of views. So how did you go about managing those relationships? Now, this is again a behavioral interview question designed to assess your ability to work with people who have differing opinions, goals, and perspectives while maintaining a collaborative and productive work environment. Now, this evaluates your influence, your relationship building skills, and problem solving approach as well when facing resistance or competing opinions. The interviewer wants to know, how do you go about handling conflict or differing agendas? How do you influence and align people towards a common goal? How you build long-term trust-based relationships in your workplace? Again, use the CAR model to structure your answer, which is set the stage by describing a situation where you had to work with individuals or teams with differing viewpoints. Then action, describe the steps you took to bridge differing viewpoints. Like, did you go and do a personal connect? Did you connect with that individual? Did you present to them? Did you explain where are you coming from? Did you understand where are they coming from? What is their point of view and all? In the end, highlight the positive outcome, how you successfully developed and maintained productive relationships despite there was difference of opinion. Here, always note it is important first to talk about how did you go about understanding their viewpoint, then you share with them your viewpoint, and how did you go about finding a win-win solution. So actually, it has like these 3 steps wherever there's a conflict. So far, so good. We covered all 5 pillars. Now, as I promised in the beginning, let me quickly share with you some tips which would be universal across all peak performance questions that you can expect to be asked in a P&G interview. One is, always choose a relevant example. Pick a work scenario that aligns with the role, ideally where you demonstrated leadership, problem solving, or initiative. Try to avoid any personal examples as much as possible. Second is, show initiative and influence. Highlight how you identified a problem, secured buy-in, and influenced others to drive change. Third is using data and quantifying results. Very important. Data is facts, otherwise everything is opinion. Back up your answer with numbers, example, time saved, efficiency gained, revenue impact, to strengthen reliability. Then keep it structured using the CAR model. Clearly outline the context, action, and the result for compelling and logical response. So they can understand whatever you're saying, there is a logic to it. Then you go about aligning with the business goals. Show how your actions supported the company's broader strategy and objectives. Emphasize on relationship building. Demonstrate how you navigated constraints, collaborated with others, and built trust to achieve success. And be seen as a partner, not an enforcer. Position yourself as a problem solver who utilizes diverse teams' opinion and perspectives rather than just enforcing their own policies. Remember, you will not be hired to work alone. You will always be a brick in a wall. So they expect you to go along with the team and be able to influence them and work collaboratively together with them. Now, in case you are interested in booking a interview preparation session with me, you can do so using the link that I will leave in the description of this video. In case you're wondering what do I cover in those sessions, well, I have recorded sessions on my channel. You can check them out under the Procter & Gamble playlist. Now, an important call out, talking about the behavioral interviews, I already call out that you need to use the CAR model. I made a separate video dedicated to how you go about answering a behavioral interview question, not just using the CAR model, but all the tips, techniques, and tricks that you must be using. I will leave the link to that video in the description of this video, or otherwise you can check it out in the playlist that I have dedicated for interview process and hiring and P&G interview process. Thank you guys for watching this video. Hopefully after watching this video, you will have a good understanding of what to expect in a P&G interview and how to go about acing it.